Pennywise the Dancing Clown, a creature that feeds on fear, born from the pages of Stephen King's imagination and brought to life in the town of Derry.
Do you want a balloon too, Georgie?
I'm not supposed to take stuff from strangers.
Oh, well, I'm Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Pennywise? Yes, meet Georgie. Georgie, meet Pennywise. Now we aren't strangers, are we?
But in this project, I wanted to go beyond the horror we know to capture the decay behind the smile. I imagine an old carnival booth, long forgotten, where Pennywise stands frozen in time. A mix of terror and nostalgia, like a fairground attraction that's been closed for decades. So today, I will show you how I built this display, a miniature cabinet made of wood and 3D printed parts, housing a detailed statue of Pennywise the Clown. Let's start with the figure itself. Here, all the printed parts straight off the printer, you can already see the sharp detail in the sculpt. I always start by dry fitting everything, just to make sure all the joints align before committing to glue. Once satisfied, I begin gluing the parts together. The torso, arms and legs lock perfectly in place. The design of this kit is really well engineered. After a few minutes, the figure is complete and ready for primer. I start with a coat of matte white paint to give it a neutral base. The white also helps me spot any imperfections or seams that need a quick sanding before the real painting begins. Now let's move on to the cabinet, the carnival showcase where Pennywise will stand. The base is 3D printed, but I wanted it to look like real wood, aged and worn. To achieve that realism, I decided to combine printed parts with actual wood pieces. I start by cutting the wooden panels and gluing them over the 3D printed frame using regular white glue. Once the glue dries, I sand all the surfaces to make sure everything feels smooth and natural. Then I prepare the acrylic sheets that will imitate the cabinet's glass. I cut them to size and do a quick test fit to ensure they slide into place correctly. Most of the wood I used is balsa, because it's lightweight and easy to cut. My goal was to mix materials, the precision of 3D printing with the organic imperfection of the real wood, to bring an old carnival atmosphere to life. Back to the wood, it's time for painting. I apply a light stain wash, followed by a bit of wax to give it that subtle sheen of old furniture. The result is a warm, slightly aged tone that looks perfect for something you'd find at an old fairground. Next, I build the curtains. They are made from red velvet, mounted on a thin, curved wooden support to give them a realistic drape. I glue them in place and later seal everything with a coat of glossy synthetic varnish to mimic the old shiny lacquer look. Once dry, I glue in the acrylic glass panels. Finally, it's time for lighting. I add a small yellow LED harness inside the cabinet. This gives a soft, eerie glow that feels both nostalgic and a little unsettling, just right for Pennywise. Now for the most exciting part, painting the clown himself. For the costume, I use mostly grey and white tones, keeping palette muted and dirty to capture that feeling of decay. I start with a light grey base and gradually build darker shadows, especially around the ruffles and folds of the outfit. The goal here isn't to make him bright and clean, but to make him look old and a little grimy, as if he's been standing in the cabinet for years. On the ruffles and the yellow details, I use a dry brush technique, applying the paint lightly and wiping most of it off to leave just the right amount of color. I finish with a touch of white dry brush on top, which really brings out the texture. The red elements, the pom-poms, the lines on the suit are painted next. I use the deep, slightly desaturated red to avoid making it look too new or glossy. For the shoes, I mix black and grey tones, again keeping everything slightly faded. Now for the head. This part requires extra care. I apply a crackle medium to give it the skin that broken, porcelain-like look, as if the mask itself is deteriorating. Over that, I paint thin layers of white, allowing the cracks to subtly show through. The hair starts with a bright orange base, followed by a brown wash to darken the shadows. Then I go back with a lighter orange dry brush to bring back highlights. Unfortunately, because of a poor camera angle, the detailed face painting wasn't captured on video. I'm sorry about that. It was one of those moments where you're too focused on painting to realize the camera is pointing somewhere else. But here's what I can tell you. I used magnifying glasses with 3.5 zoom to carefully paint the eyes, intentionally slightly cross-eyed to give that unsettling Pennywise expression. Once all the details are done, the statue is practically finished. I had a few vintage carnival posters inside the cabinet, small touches that tied the whole theme together. And of course, the red balloon, because you can't have Pennywise without that balloon. And here it is, the final piece, Pennywise forever trapped in his cabinet of decay. The combination of real wood, 3D printing and hand painting creates something that feels both realistic and surreal, like a haunted carnival attraction rediscovered after years of dust and silence. The LED lights cast a soft yellow glow, bringing a warm contrast to the cold tones of the statue. The curtains, the glass reflections, the textures, everything works together to tell a smooth story. Thank you for watching, and I hope this project inspires you to mix materials and techniques in your own builds. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and as always, stay creative.